So who knows? Is anyone else like running a business who lives in a van? Give me some props. What do you do? Hi guys, I'm back. As you can probably see from the title, I want to talk about something very specific today, and it's actually based on a Christmas gift that I got. This was from my mum. My mum got me this book called Van Life, and it's totally brilliant. It's got all these beautiful, inspiring pictures of people who have decked out like camper vans and RVs and motorhomes that they've done up to be somewhere that they can travel around in and partially live in or completely live in. And she got this for me. It's a perfect present for me because she knows that I have been thinking about adopting the van life. For those of you who don't know, I mean, where have you been? It's actually becoming a lot more common, especially amongst millennials now, who don't really see the point in working all the time to pay rent on a flat or house that you're like never in because you're always working. And so people are kind of looking at alternative living options, going into tiny homes. I've done a blog post about how I'm obsessed with tiny houses and van life and that sort of thing, but I really want to actually talk about the possibility of me actually adopting this lifestyle because I really want to do it, and it's kind of like the perfect time to do it as well, because we're selling this house. The house that I've lived in for most of my life is being sold. Anytime I'd come back from traveling, I just stayed at my folks' place because it was cheaper rent. I knew I wasn't going to be there for long. I knew I was going to just jet off again somewhere, and it was just like a kind of balanced way to save some money and just to, you know, get a bit sorted before I go off again. But now obviously that's changing because, yeah, we're selling the house, and I have to maybe be a grown-up for once, or I could live in a van. So I have been very seriously considering the van life, the tiny house life, that sort of thing, like maybe living in a shed or something, because I am looking at all kinds of rent for all different places, looking everywhere, and it's ridiculous for what you get. I was looking at studio apartments and things like that, and other ones like 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom flats and things, and the rent is utterly ridiculous. I do not want to pay nearly £500 a month for a studio flat that literally has everything clumped into one tiny dingy room, and then them charge me like half a grand every month for that rubbish. And that's not including bills or anything. I just think that's utterly ridiculous. I'm not going to want to ever be there. And the way that like my plans are at the moment, I won't be there because I just want to be traveling all the time. So this is something I'm sure a lot of travel enthusiasts will come up against, of where do I live in the downtime, because for a lot of us, especially budget travelers, we can't just be constantly traveling because that costs money. You do need to actually save up a little bit of money before you can go off again to the next place. So in between that, where do you live? And I think the van life kind of takes that aspect out. So I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons of potentially adopting the van life, and yeah, talking about some ideas with you guys and see what you think. Number one, the biggest pro for me I think would be the freedom of it all, because exactly like I just said, you're not rooted to one spot. You can literally drive off into a campsite or something, and then the next morning awake and you're in the mountains. Depending on what country you're in, obviously, but I think I'd really like to start off slow, start off small, and go round England with it. There's so much of England that I still want to see and experience and everything. And I say, trusted house sitters has saved me so much money being able to stay in other people's homes, but I still need to pay to actually get to that destination. If I were driving, it would be considerably cheaper. I'd still be able to do my trusted house sitters. I'd have more of the home comforts in an actual home. But whilst I'm actually getting up to those locations, I could just save myself some money and some stress by sleeping in my van. and if I've kitted it out where it's very comfortable and I could stay in it for much longer, then again I probably wouldn't even need a house to stay in. It depends how much of a refit I do, or if I manage to get one that would be like all kitted out. Yeah, I would possibly start off going around England and then see if I can go around Europe. And then the ultimate goal definitely for me would be to do a proper American and Canadian road trip and just drive all around America and Canada and just explore, stop off at all the touristy places and then like stealth camp and things, and oh, it would just be amazing in my opinion. Like I can see the glossy rose tinted thing. I know that there would be some downsides. Speaking of, the con, of course, would be the space, the massive space limit. I like I say, I live in a house right now, but I very much stay in my own little bubble. So I stay in a room that's quite small and I don't really venture out of it. That being said, I have an awful lot of stuff. I have a studio because I run my own little business, and so I mostly do the work in the studio when it's not freezing cold in there in the winter. Any other time I'm mostly in this room, and it's very small with a lot of stuff crammed in. That makes me feel like I could probably do a much smaller space on the regular, but I would need to downsize a lot. But that actually brings me into another pro, which is I am desperately trying to get rid of some of my junk right now and kind of adopt more minimal lifestyle, because I find the more stuff I have, the more cluttered my life is. It's just stressful trying to find everything, and I have a lot of junk, and a lot of the time it's stuff that I really do like, but it serves no function. And I'm finding that if I sell set like extra clothes and things on eBay, I'm making more money to travel, and I prefer to have the travel than all the random stuff that I never wear or use anymore. So if I then moved into a van, it would force me to cut down on the amount of crap that I have, which I'm kind of excited about. I think that would be a great thing. The only downside to that, another con, is like I say, I run a small craft business where I make handmade jewellery, arts and crafts. Shiny Creations, go check it out. But the only issue is, of course, that comes with a lot of stuff. If you're an artist, you will know you come with a lot of stuff. There's obviously printers, there's the clay that I make the stuff out of, there's the metal that I make the jewellery out of, there is paint and canvas, and all of that is a lot of stuff. So I would need somewhere to actually store all this stuff, and obviously the logistics of running a business whilst you're on the road as well. Another big pro, of course, would be the cost. You could actually considerably cut down your costs by living in a much smaller space, and by living in a van as well. I would cut down on any hotel bills, but that does lead me into another con. It could be very expensive up front. I'd have two options. I could either buy a van or an RV or whatever it is that's already kitted out for somebody to live in it, or I could buy myself a regular van, like a Sprinter van, or maybe an RV that hasn't been converted or partially converted, completely gut it and then redesign it to one of my choosing. Now that, of course, would be very expensive up front. There's loads of YouTube videos which I highly recommend you go check out, certain channels and things. I'll put some links down below actually, some really good ones, of people who have done it for like super cheap, or you know, have done it all themselves and like spent years getting it just right. I'm limited on time, and I'm very limited on money, of course, always. I think what my best bet would be is because this movement has come about, a lot of people thought they were going to try it, and they spent a lot of money on these beautiful vans and decked them all out, or got one that was already decked out and gone away on holiday in it or something, or lived in it for like a short period of time and then realised it's not quite for them, or that they're just simply not using the van as much as they'd like, and so they're selling them on. Just looking on like eBay and Facebook and that sort of thing, there are tons of them that are incredibly affordable. Now that's not to say that they're in perfect condition, but some of them really look like, yeah, that's a freaking steal, like that's amazing. So I think probably what would be best for me is to get one that's either partially already converted, or one that's completely converted, and then as I live in it kind of realise, okay, when I have the time and money, I need to move that table to there because I need this space more, or so I'd be able to develop it to how I want it to be to fit my lifestyle, rather than like completely starting from scratch and doing it all by myself, because I don't have the skills to do it all by myself. I'd love to learn. Eventually this would be a project that I'd love to do, to, you know, completely deck out my own van. But that again will be when I have the time and money to do so, and right now I need somewhere to live, so I'm thinking this would be I'm really gonna hurry up. One of the massive pros I think this would be is it would make me much healthier. Now that sounds bizarre because I'd be cramped in this tiny little space, but I'm always like, oh god, I really want to go outside and go for a walk, or I really want to go outside and do my yoga or something, and a lot of the time I'm just like, well, it's warmer inside, I might as well do it inside. Or I can't walk anywhere that's like super pretty where I live, or like super quiet where there's no other people around, so I just don't do it. And I feel like if I were driving around to new locations all the time, because I know from experience when I go away traveling, I walk so much more than I do when I'm at home. I feel the need to get up earlier and explore a lot more, which again, when I'm in my own hometown, I don't always feel the need. I can't be bothered to get up early and just go out for an explorative walk. Whereas I feel like if I'm driving around to new locations all the time and discovering stuff, I'm gonna get up early and go out and do my yoga outside with a beautiful natural view, and then pack up and go off walking somewhere, and, you know, like just be a lot more active. Because you're in a small space, you'll feel the need a lot more to actually get outside and stretch your legs and be more physically active, because you're much more aware that you're not doing any activities. One of the cons, of course, which I would need to really think about is the safety issue. I am a solo traveller most of the time. I go around wherever by myself, and this living in the van would be no different. It would just be, I'd need to be a bit more aware of it, because I think the difference between locking up your house at night and locking up your car at night when you're then sleeping in that car, there is a difference, I think. And again, there's the stigma of like, women alone will definitely get killed. I think obviously I would just need to be very aware of my surroundings, and maybe have some form of like self-defense with me. I mean, I live in England, so I wouldn't be able to have like a knife, a gun, or bear mace even, because all of that's illegal here. But no, I'd have, so like I always carry my rope alarm with me. If I could gear up something that set off like really loud alarms if anyone opened the door, yeah, it would be something that I'd need to think about. Again, I would reach out to the van life community that already exists and be like, what are your tips here for staying safe whilst living in your van? I know like stealth camping and stuff can be a little bit more risky in some areas, but a lot of the time if you're in like a paid campground or even a national park or stuff, a lot of the time they have their own security, and I think I've never felt unsafe being a solo female traveller. I've never had a really scary experience. I'm always on the side of be a little bit paranoid, and I'm always a little bit more cautious than perhaps I even need to be, just because I want to be safe, I don't want to be a victim. So I think that would carry through with me living in a van. One of the other massive pros there that I just mentioned is the van life community. There already exists this incredible community. You can see them all on Instagram. Basically, there's so many different forums and things that have popped up really recently of people just trying to help other people who have been there and done that, who are currently doing it. And it's everything from what kind of compost toilet you should get, how to fix problems with your van, different like solar panel recommendations, where to go, where to sleep, different tips and safety things. Just like I said earlier, you can meet up with these people on the road and share your stories, and so I think it's a wonderful way of both being antisocial, which I like being, and social, which I also like being, because you can kind of go, okay, I'm gonna have my own space in my little van, and then when you want to, you have this wonderful community that you can tap into and be sociable. So I'd really like to join that community, I think. But of course, that brings us to the biggest con so far. It's not money, it's not time, it's the fact that I don't yet drive. I had the opportunity to learn how to drive when I was 17, and again, I'm from the Isle of Wight and everything is within walking distance, so there really was no point in me learning to drive. I knew I was going to university again, which I wouldn't be able to afford a car, I wouldn't need a car because I lived on campus, and so everything was, you know, again within a few steps, even not even just walking distance. So I didn't need to learn how to drive, and it's only now, like, I'm 26 now, it's only just very recently that I've gone, damn it, it'd be really helpful if I could drive. Like, most of the time I've just got by on my feet and like public transport and the train system and things. I've never really needed to drive, and now obviously if I'm thinking about living in a van, I'd really need to learn how to drive. So I think this might be a 2018 New Year's resolution, is finally be an adult and learn how to drive, so that I can buy a van and live in it like a crazy hippie. But yeah, no, I'm seriously thinking about this, and I just wanted to make a very quick kind of update with you guys. It's definitely not a plan yet. Please don't be like, when are you getting your van? Because I don't know. I'm just voicing like what I think would be a cool lifestyle to maybe try. I think I might like rent one first, see if I like it, go on like a month-long road trip or something, and see if I think I could hack it, because obviously the glossy Instagram photos are very different to the reality, and I've watched many YouTube videos of people going, these are the downsides, and this is what it's really like, here are the bad days. So far nothing I've seen has really turned me off of the idea. I just think it would be such a cool adventure, such a cool way of saving money, and having that whole accommodation side of things just being taken care of. Like, I could sleep somewhere safe and dry and warm that night, and then everything else, it, you know, is a lot easier because I don't need to worry about that. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know what I was thinking about, and what kind of fueled it as well. But let me know what you think. Has anyone ever attempted to live in a van or RV or whatever, or caravan even, or a tiny home? And how long did you do it for? What did you like about it? Did you hate it? All of this will really help me with my decision of where the hell I'm gonna live, and will it have wheels? So let me know what you think. So if I decide to learn how to drive, I will let you know how that goes. If I decide to buy a van, of course, that would be incredibly exciting. I'll give you like a van tour and show you, yeah, I could take you along for the ride and see how it all happens. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for liking, commenting and subscribing, and I will see you in the world. Thanks for watching.